you know the richest state in America? How do you even define it? Is it the state with the highest GDP per capita? Is it the states who harbor the majority of the 1%? If that's the case, then states like Maryland, Massachusetts, and New Jersey make the cut. Even California makes this list. But all these states seem to be a beacon for homeless encampments. So despite being rich, no one is surprised to know that there is a homeless crisis. But what if we just look at the state with the lowest poverty rate? It would be the fourth richest state of New Hampshire. That's right, live free or die. New Hampshire is the least impoverished state and hardly has a reputation for homelessness. While homelessness can be found everywhere, it's shocking to imagine living through a New Hampshire winter on the streets. New Hampshire is located in the northeast United States as part of the 6 states that make up New England. Full of colonial history and famous fall foliage, it's hardly a mecca for those experiencing homelessness. In this video, we will explore the statistics, underlying causes, and solutions being provided by the state of New Hampshire. So bundle up because these statistics are shocking. First, let's look at the statistics. As of August 2023, there were 2,441 people experiencing homelessness in the state. Of that number, 2,103 were sheltered and 338 were unsheltered, and 667 of those are families. The number of unhoused residents is doubled if you include those who don't have a permanent residence but are staying with friends or in hotels. Based on its population of just over 1 million people, that amounts to 0.18% of the population. To put that into perspective, New York, the state that has the highest percentage of homelessness, is 0.89%. That's less than a percentage point off, which is jarring considering the reputation that precedes each state. While the majority of the unhoused residents of New Hampshire are sheltered, that still leaves 338 people that have to endure a New Hampshire winter where average winter temperatures easily dip down to single digits. Second, we can look at homeless trends in New Hampshire. Over the past year alone, homelessness has increased a staggering 52%. The last time there were more than 2,000 unhoused residents in the state was back during the housing crisis of 2008. Over the last 6 years, there hasn't been an increase of over 17%, and in some years there was even a decrease in the homelessness percentage. While the number of those experiencing homelessness is increasing nationwide, New Hampshire has experienced one of the highest jumps. To compare that same time period in New York, the state with the highest percentage of homelessness, they only had an increase over the last year of 18%. This means New Hampshire almost tripled that percentage. Annie Kuster, a Democrat serving in the House of Representatives representing New Hampshire, said, "We have an extreme housing situation in New Hampshire right now." She went on to add that shelters are under 1% vacancy rate. The third thing to look at is the impact on New Hampshire residents. Both the residents who are housed and unhoused are impacted by this crisis. Like in many cities, people's compassion for the homeless stops at their front door. As more homeless encampments are encroaching into residential areas, there have been many clashes with locals who have been frustrated with the sudden arrival of tent cities. Earlier this year, a homeless woman was shot by a local resident after the city of Nashua designated a local park and ride to serve as a homeless encampment. Residents were infuriated, claiming that they were never informed or able to vote on where the encampment should be located. They also voiced concerns about the possibility for increased crime and drug use so close to a neighborhood where kids play outside or walk to school. New Hampshire has been battling the homeless crisis for years, and some of its laws restrict those who experience homelessness, while others are designed to help with funding and shelter. Federal courts have shot down a Manchester law that would restrict panhandling. The law was intended to stop homeless people from standing at intersections and panhandling for money that could be used for drugs. The federal court said that the act violates the First Amendment right to free speech. This law would have also hindered those who were just handing out pamphlets, as the law was written too broadly to distinguish between the two. Many New Hampshire residents have been advocating for laws that limit vagrancy, but given that the state's motto is live free or die, it is hard to write a law that doesn't infringe on someone's right to loiter on public property. The problem with vagrancy laws is that they do nothing to address the underlying cause of homelessness, but rather just relocate the problem. By not restricting panhandling, the rights of the homeless are being upheld, but it angers local citizens because it encourages people to stand at intersections and on street corners begging for money. Whereas the vagrancy laws, if enacted, definitely reduce the physical number of unhoused people on the streets, but since the underlying cause of mental health, addiction, and economic hardships are being swept under the rug, the problem is never actually solved and it becomes a vicious cycle. Let's look at what residents are doing to help those experiencing homelessness. There is the New Hampshire Coalition to End Homelessness, which is a nonprofit organization founded in 1990. They organize leaders in the state to research solutions on ending homelessness, educate providers on best practices, and empower people to advocate on behalf of the homeless. The organization's belief is that having a home is a basic human right. The New Hampshire Food Bank, a program of Catholic charities, is the only official food bank in the state working to provide healthy food and resources to New Hampshire residents that are food insecure. They partner with over 400 other agencies which work across the entire state to make sure people have enough, not just to survive, but to thrive and maintain a healthy diet. While this has helped mitigate the problem over the past decade, the recent 12-month increase of 52% is putting pressure on local and governmental agencies to do more. Let's look at the refugee crisis that has been all over the news over the past few years. Unless you've been living under a rock, you are probably aware that the southern border is wide open, and as more and more migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers come into America at unchecked rates, states as far north as New Hampshire have been taking them in. While this may not seem to immediately correlate to the localized homeless crisis, the resources needed to house these migrants has caused tension with the already unhoused residents of the state who are either being pushed out or turned away due to lack of vacancy at shelters. New Hampshire has taken in its share of migrants. Recently, New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu joined 24 other state governors in calling on the Biden administration to immediately release data pertaining to illegal border crossings, relocation of migrants, the processing of asylum applications, and the deportation of illegal migrants. Most people forget that New Hampshire is as much a border state as Texas and Arizona. The difference is that it lies on the northern border as opposed to the southern, but state representatives argue that illegal crossings have also increased along the Canadian border as migrants who have gotten to Canada in turn head south. So what is the New Hampshire government doing to help its unsheltered and unhoused residents? We've talked about private organizations, but what about the state itself? Both private and governmental organizations are committed to helping those in need by providing federal and private grants to people on the verge of losing their housing, as well as placing those unsheltered into vacant shelters or temporary housing. The Bureau of Homeless Services assists with connecting individuals, youth, and families who are currently homeless or are at risk of becoming homeless with housing support and services. The Bureau of Homeless Services, BHS, works with New Hampshire communities to develop programs and services for New Hampshire's homeless populations. The BHS's aim is to assist with connecting individuals, youth, and families who are currently homeless or are at risk of becoming homeless with housing support and services. Though New Hampshire doesn't have the breaking point crises as states like New York and California, they are not immune to the bigger problem plaguing Americans. As inflation soars and interest rates make affording a home unattainable, many Americans are falling victim to the post-COVID economic strife. You know it's bad when it's bad in New Hampshire. Do you want to learn more about the top 10 cities in America facing a homeless crisis? Click this image to learn more.